All right, we're going to talk about annuities, methods of savings and investments. Okay, so what we're going to look at first is like the value of an annuity. So if you deposit $1,000 into a savings account at the end of each year and at an interest rate of 8% per year compounding annually, so you're only getting interest at the end of the year. You put in $1,000. At the end of the year, you get your 8%, so you'd have $1,000 plus $80, or $1,080. Okay, but that's after you have it. So it usually will deposit it. All right. So it says find the value of the annuity after 3 years. Okay, so after the first year, you have $1,000 in your account. Okay, so at the start of the second year, you're going to get your extra interest. So year 2, we have 1,000 times 1.08 plus 1,000, which gives us a grand total of 2,080. So we have 2,080 in our account year 2. Year 3, we're going to take that 2,080 times 1 plus 0.08 plus another 1,000 for a grand total of $3,246.40. Okay. Now, the amount of interest is, well, we're going to take our total account minus our deposit. So our total account was $3,246.40 minus we had $3,000 in deposits. So we had an interest here of $246.40. So there's our interest in there. Okay. Now, this is not a very nice way to do this. Each time, adding in 1,000, multiplying it by, what we'd rather have is a formula that allows us to kind of do it by putting in, well, I want to do it at 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. So we have this value of annuity compounded n times annually. Okay, so remember, compound is just how many times are you taking interest. Are you taking interest once a year, quarterly, or every 3 months? Are you taking it biannually, so every 6 months? Is it monthly? How is it being, how are you getting your interest? Okay, so your annuity is equal to P, which is standing for principal per month, right? So how much are you depositing each month or each year, or so how much are you depositing in there? R is our rate. So what is our interest rate? N is how many times is it compounded, and T is time in year. So we have this formula of the annuity equals P times the quantity of 1 plus R over N, all raised to the N, T minus 1, all over R over N. Okay? So here we have an example. It says at age 25, you say for retirement, you decide to deposit $200 per month into an IRA, or an individual retirement account, that pays 7.5% compounded monthly. Okay, so monthly, now my N is 12. So that looks like, so N equals 12 here. This is my R. Okay, so we want to know the amount at age 65, and we want to round that to the nearest dollar. Okay, so this is my P here, so 200 is my P, so I'm going to put 200 here, times the quantity, 1 plus, and I have to convert my rate to a decimal, so 0.075 over 12, and 65 to 25, that's 40 years, so 12 times 40, minus 1, all over 0.075 times 12. So as I simplify this out, as I divide 0.075 by 12, I get 0.00625. 12 times 40 is 480. So I have 200 times the quantity, 1 plus 0.0625, all raised to the 480th power, minus 1, divided by 0.00625, for a grand total of approximately $604,765. Okay, so this is how much is going to be in that account by saving $200 per month for 40 years. You're going to have a little over $500,000. Interest, so if we're looking at the interest, what that is the amount of the account minus how much you deposited. Well, you're depositing $200 per month times 40 years. So we're going to go 200 times 12 times 40, which is 90,000, a little over $90,000. For a grand total of your interest is $508,765. That's how much interest you are going to accumulate over that 40 years. Now, if I have a goal in mind, let's say I want to save up to buy a car, or I want to save up to put a down payment on a house, or doesn't matter. What we're looking at is we have this payments needed to achieve a financial goal. So really what's happening here is we're taking this formula and solving for P. So P equals the annuity times R over N all over the quantity 1 plus R over N to the nth minus 1. Okay? So here's our example. You would like to save $20,000 as a down payment on a house. You're going to do that over 5 years, and you're getting 6% compounded monthly. And so what we're going to do is now I want to know how much do I have to deposit each month to achieve this $20,000 goal. Okay? So now I'm going to put my annuity amount is $20,000. My interest rate is 0.06. I'm going to divide that by 12. So I'm going to use a calculator to figure all this out, and I come up with $287. I have to deposit $287 into an account that's getting 6% compounded monthly, and after 5 years, I will have achieved my $20,000 goal. Okay? Now, how much interest are we getting? Well, that's going to be the annuity minus the amount of my payments. So I take 20,000 minus 287 times 5 times 12, or I'm going to receive $2,780 in interest. Okay, so this is my interest. Now, this section talks about a lot of investing and where to invest. And so some of the investments we have are stocks, bonds, and mutual funds. Okay, they each have their benefit. They each have their hindrances also. Stocks can be a very lucrative way to earn money, but it can also be very volatile. When you're buying stocks, you're buying essentially into a company a portion or a share of that company. And as the company does well, the stocks can increase. If the company does poorly, or there's news that of problems in the company, the stock could decrease. All right. Bonds are essentially what you're doing is you're giving your money and they're loaning it out. So a lot of times you'll see government bonds or bonds for schools. Essentially what's happening is they're taking your money and they're loaning it out to other organizations. And so you are drawing interest back on that money that you loaned out. Bonds are very stable. The biggest thing with bonds is you don't tend to receive a huge percentage back on your investment. But they are very, very stable. You're pretty much guaranteed you're going to get that same percentage every year. The one thing about bonds is most of the time bonds are set up in such a way that you have to leave the money in there for a given amount of time. 1 year, 6 months, 2 years. So it's not something that is as readily available to cash in and stuff. Typically, if you cash in a bond before the maturity date, you only get the money back that you put in. So if you put in $1,000 and you cash that bond the next month, you would only get the $1,000 back. You wouldn't get any interest on that. Okay? So, but very, very secure. Mutual funds is kind of like a combination. So a mutual fund tends to invest in a lot of different places. So that way it decreases the volatility a lot of times because they're going to invest in stocks, they're going to invest in bonds, they're going to invest in a variety of different things to keep that volatility at a minimum. Okay. Now a lot of these are built into retirement funds. So if you have an IRA, which is an individual retirement account, you're investing for your retirement later on in life. So you're investing in value now to be able to get have income later on in your life. And a lot of times, we talked about taxes before. What happens in those plans is you're putting away money now before tax, so that way when you take it out, you're at a lower tax rate. So there's lots of different ways to save money, and I would encourage you to go look at those and take advantage of some of those opportunities.